webinar sales. So following the natural laws. And in the Gene Keys, this is the theme for this week, which is expectation, detachment, and celebration. So it says, this week we'll tussle with Gene Key 42, which may challenge you to let go of your disappointment over something or someone. Open your mind and heart, open our mind and heart, and we may even find the opposite. Letting go of the thing that upsets us can lead to a new beginning. So, yeah, and recently, this came up with a webinar that something happened where this happens quite frequently on the path of following our passion. Where have you ever had a moment where you did a live event or a webinar or a free event or whatever you did, and you poured your heart into it, poured your love, poured your energy into it? Perhaps people even loved it, but then they didn't buy. If you've ever had that. And I know that when this really started my sales path is once upon a time when I was starting the Sovereign Man initiation experience. Why I did that was not because I just wanted to start a program. I did that because I got this vision, this strong, life-changing vision. And these symbols emerged from that vision. And without going into it right now, the key point of that was I basically got the next piece of my life mission, got them in these symbols. It was so meaningful for me that I tattooed them both on both sides of my shoulders. And then I went and created a free event for this. Now, there was probably 12 people who showed up at this event. We went on this mini experience of going through these different archetypes for men: the warrior, the wizard, the lover, the playful prince, the king, the wild man. And we went on this experience, and there was pretty high-level entrepreneurs there that had done very impressive things in business. And the feedback, and it was the first time I did it. I did it all alone. Just did it solo. And the feedback that I got from people was, this is incredible. They loved it. The connections, the insights people are sharing, the camaraderie that was there. And I think this was like maybe a 2-hour thing. They wanted to go deeper into different parts. We only had so much time for so many parts. And as I was facilitating, putting this all together, at the end, I did a little tiny offer. And I just thought, hey, if they like this experience where we touch on the 6 archetypes, we'll go on an adventure deeper, an adventure for each of the archetypes. And so I thought, you know what, for me, where I'm at right now, it's not about the money. Like, I already had my SEO business, and it's like, this is just my passion coming out. And, I just got to charge something because there's going to be like some, physical costs. So I was just like, all right, just here's the offer at the end. And before the offer, what people were telling me is they were like, I remember vividly, they were like, I've invested over hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in my education. And what I got from tonight is like, it's at the top, the impact for me. And another person said, yeah, this is unique. This is different. This is powerful. I'm like, wow, okay. So that was going into the offer. And I share this because this story happened with somebody else that I know. And this happens to people pretty often when following our passion. So it's something to be mindful of. And so I went to the offer and I said, hey, this is the thing. I felt, anxiety, or felt a little, embarrassed. I had been thinking about this a lot of times, but I didn't realize that was the first time they're hearing it. So I rushed through it pretty quickly. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. Oh, and what was the price? $420. I mean, like fucking nothing, it's just nothing. It was just like, this isn't for the money. This is for, just for my passion and for my mission. And I said, who wants to do this? Nobody said they want to do this. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm like, okay. And then, so it closed up. Oh, it was good. People were hanging out. People were talking. Person comes up to me. Hey, this was just so powerful. Just this. And they're just pouring out. I'm like, wow, okay, great. And they go, okay, I got to go. But thank you. Another person comes up. This was great. I got this insight. I'm going to go talk to this person and this, my business, my personal life, my girlfriend, my not girlfriend, all this type of stuff. Next one comes up, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I feel like different part. I felt like I was a puzzle piece, and there's all these puzzle pieces floating around. And I'm like, what in the fuck is happening right now? Like, what is happening? Like my heart is happy, but at the same, nobody's buying, and I'm like embarrassed, but I'm happy, but I'm like, what's going on? And so the night passes, people stay as well. They want to stay in the space, they want to stay in the energy, they want to stay in, the space. To come up to me, thank you, thank you, thank you. Nobody buys. Nobody buys. So afterwards, what do I feel? I feel, why, God? Why? I pour out my heart, and I'm just trying to do a good thing. Like, what the heck? There's people stealing in the world. There's people like calling, grannies on the phone and scamming them out of their money. And like, I'm doing a good thing, and I'm getting the feedback from people, and still no dollars. And as I was sharing with a friend earlier this week, is like, that's when I knew I was missing something in the pitch, something throughout. And fortunately, when I was like 19 or so, I was at a Ted McGrath event, and at a couple of them, one of them had helped out a little bit as well. And I saw him at the second event sell $100,000 package from stage. And how do I know that? Because he said, hey, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, it's like, if you want this, stand up, raise your hand. There was silence. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is pretty awkward. Oh, I can't believe this is happening. And then someone stands up. I'm like, what? And then he says some more things, calls him up again. If you'd like to get this result in this amount of time, stand up. And another person does. And another person. I'm like, okay, that's 3 people, a 4th person, a 5th. I'm like, what is happening right now? And they're standing up, literally with my eyes. Men, women, all walks of life. They're standing up with hand raised. 6, 7 people stood up. Said, okay, I'll go to the back. We'll get you signed up. And they get up, and they stand up, they stay up, and they go back. And I'm like, so I'm thinking back to that moment, and I'm like, okay, I know it's possible. And for $420, like, I'm not asking for $100,000 package. So I'm like, this is, and there was, I believe at the event, there was like 12, 13 people there. So I'm like, I know it's possible. So this is at the time when I hit up my friend Alex Moscow, and the interesting thing, he was like, we had known each other throughout those years to that back point, and he was like Ted's right-hand man at the time, working his program. So we had known each other back then. We were at the same events. So I was like, hey man, like, let's obviously I'm missing something here. So that's when I joined his 40K sales mastermind, and really dove into the specifics of the offer and calling people to action. And what happened after that is that this, the same program, people joined in for $4,000. A couple people were part of the same mastermind and give them a $500 discount. So people joined at either 4K or 3,500 for that round. And what that did is it gave me resources to pour even more love, attention, energy, creativity into the program. And the program went from like, hey, we'll go on these ventures on a day, to this is like a 6-week deal. We build up to this 3-day event, and we do this all together. It was just total different value. And again, people thanking me, like, this is amazing, it's amazing. So I did that 3 rounds. First round 4K, second round 5K, third round 6K. And that was all from the piece of the offer. And so that's really the theme of this week is, what are the natural laws of building the buying energy? And how do we have that throughout? What I learned throughout this, and now when I've connected to my 6 years of experience leading and facilitating a mastermind and guiding people with coaching questions and focusing them with a limited time frame on the tangible things that actually are going to help them get the results. Now I look at sales as, all right, I'm coaching. And do I coach? Does a good coach overwhelm their student with information? Bam, 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 bam. No, or does it give them peace, give them space, ask them a question, draw it out? And as I was reflecting, I was like, oh man, this has only come through hosting, really over 350 webinars. 250 of those have been mastermind sessions. And I'm like, damn, did I like kind of get the sixth sense for it in the first year of hosting mastermind? No. Second year? No. Third year? No. Fourth, fifth? No. It was like really in the sixth, like it just really started coming together with a precision. And so that's why I want to share this, is that as you're taking your passion out, again, I believe it's a 100x game. It's going to be 100x times you're going to feel the happiness, but also the 100x, feel the pain, feel the sting, feel the embarrassment, feel the shame. And so with this, it's just understanding, I believe, of like, okay, there's certain natural laws, and it's almost like check boxes. So when it comes to calling somebody to action and building the buying energy, there's check boxes. I come from an SEO background, so I realized in SEO, let's say there's a list of 100 check boxes, and the more boxes checked, the more likely it's going to rank. Do we need all 100? No, not necessarily, but the more they're there, the more likely it's going to rank on top of Google. Just like this, the more likely a person is going to say yes to buying, getting the result. So with these natural laws, it's a little bit like detaching as well, because what I've seen with people is in some hands, they just throw their hands up and they just say, screw it. And they're like, I just fucking poured my heart into this. I love it. And and like, they either get resentful towards the people and just say, you don't value this, whatever, just give up on their passion. Or they get resentful at God, their higher power. And they're just like, what is going on? I thought you had my back and now you're nowhere. And in this case, it's just really being like, okay, what are the check boxes? What are the natural laws? And we're doing a good thing. We're doing a good program with it because it's your purpose, your passion. So then the profit piece in the True Freedom method is, how do we have those check boxes so that people have the clarity they need to take the next step? They have the excitement they need to take the next step. They have the tangible, head, heart, and hands are happy and clear with taking the next step. So I think I'm going to pause there. And yeah, if you're willing to share, Naya, what resonated with you from that, I know it's quite a bit.
That was really good. A couple of things. In the beginning, I wrote down how to protect the top 4% of the activities that I'm doing. And the most productive thing is to let go. So that's important. And regarding the sales here, yeah, being in that energy, in that divine energy is key. And as creators, as business owners, when we're in the weeds, we can fall off. We lose track of the energy because we're just either in the middle of doing operations or feeling, oh, the activities that I have to do, so many, I have so many, like that. And when you feel pulled here or there, that energy is gone. That energy is not there. And then as a visionary, someone who's futuristic, you lose that vision. Why am I doing this again? I need a reminder, and luckily I had a reminder right before this call. And I was like, oh yeah, that's why. So I can make up 1,000 multimillionaires. Bam! That realigns me immediately. Just that thought. I'm like, okay, let me breathe. Let me go. This is why I'm doing these things that feel like painful right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the potential is like, yep, I can see myself. Yeah, $100,000. Yep, for I could get people results. and then they have a different type of identity. So sometimes I've heard this from coaches. It's easier asking for 100K than asking for $2,000 or $500 or 400. Like your thing,
Mm-hmm.
because the people that have the 100K, they have a different identity.
Mm-hmm.
They already have done enough work on themselves. They believe they have the confidence. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be easier for the coach, the mentor,
Mm-hmm.
to teach someone who's willing to invest $100,000 in themselves to get the results that you can get them.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, all right. I'd like to be in a room of people and be like, stand up. Who wants to get these results? And see 7 people stand up. Bam. I'd rather have 7 clients. My life is easier than have 100 clients at 5K or 7K, who are driving you nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something to think about. And something that I've really learned is that, and I'm still working on this, when we follow our passion, boom, our heart's out there. Heart's out there. And, Alex would always talk about this, like the sales is in the tension. I'm paraphrasing a bit, but it's like the tension, is where the growth is. And so what I notice is when we're just selling a widget for something, we don't feel that tension as, much, whatever. But when our heart is out there and we're like, oh, we just put it out, here's the invite, and it's like every second feels like an eternity, of what do they think, what do they do, but like getting comfortable with the skill of being comfortable with that. Of like, okay, my beating heart is out there. Dun, 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 dun. Gonna take a breath. And let's see, what is the coaching question that the group needs right now? Or what's the call to action? Yeah. And then that piece, because the piece that an add-on piece is that when I sold the program, that was one-on-one. And then at the end of the program, there was a call to action to join the mastermind. At the time, the mastermind was 2K a month. And so it was painting the vision of, hey, we did all this in 6 weeks together, really 7 with like the event. And then imagine what the next year would look like. And let's take a look. Let's be clear. Let's be focused. What does that look like in your business a year from now? What does that look like your personal life, professional life? And I remember being with Alex too. And I was like, so am I going to ask them to stand up? He's like, yep. I was like, I was like just dreading that moment. And I did. And they all stood up. I mean, it was a key small event. I believe it was 4 people at the time. All 4 stood up. And different ones would end up joining at different times. But yeah, I remember that. And I would do that stand-up thing, the exact same thing for each 3 events. So being comfortable with the tension is one of the biggest takeaways I'd like to share here. And again, for everybody listening now or in the future, like I feel you. When we follow our passion and have our beating heart there, it's different. It's 100x amplified. In my opinion is that nobody fucking knows what that's like unless they're truly following their passion, putting their heart out there. I did not know what it felt like when I was just selling SEO because, that wasn't my heart out there. Was it a great service? Yes. Happy clients? Yes. But it wasn't my heart out there. So that's why I respect for everybody doing this. And to close out here, I want to just grab a couple items from this, and then we'll get into the flow state experience with our time. So there's quite a bit, and actually the coach in me is saying, that's too much information right now. We'll just get to it. So a few things from this, and I would recommend you can actually close your eyes if you'd like, and take a nice deep breath in, and I'll breathe this through. Because the shadow of this gene key is expectation. Which, damn, I mean, I feel like that's such a human thing for us to have. We expect, we want to, impact lives, want to make money, want to do all these things, share a gift. So that's the shadow though. But then the gift, as we transcend that, is detachment, true detachment. And then ultimately, when we go like Super Saiyan into mastery mode, it's celebration, where whatever happens, we celebrate truly from the depths of our being. I sure ain't there yet, but that's the mastery. So a note here is waiting at the expectation station. Almost all human beings, we are waiting at the expectation station. Expectation is the most profound mark of humanity. It's the dream that the future holds a greater promise than the now. Somehow inside us, we are waiting, all waiting for our lives to improve. That somehow where we will receive all the money we need, our lives, our love lives will be perfect, and we will have absolute freedom to do all the things we always wanted to do, but not now. First, we have a few things, just a few things to clear up before we can be truly happy. And so we go on, postponing and postponing till we are old. And then, of course, it's almost too late. But in fact, it's never too late to be in the now. We have only to see through the futility of our personal expectations. If we can do this totally and with absolute honesty, we will discover one of the secrets of being human and being happy. So as that settles in, another note here is expectation itself should not be seen, though, as a bad thing. It depends on how we react with it to our own expectations. That is a measure of how much trust we have in life. Whenever we feel circumstances moving out of our control, we can immediately see how attached we are or how detached we are. Every time we identify with expectation, we set ourselves up for disappointment. It is actually possible to hold on, or excuse me, it actually is possible to hold an expectation without being attached to it. If we are able to expand our consciousness and raise the frequency of the shadow, we will remember that we are merely a part of a greater natural cycle, and that all events fit into a wider picture than we can usually comprehend. Expectation and disappointment only plague us when our vision narrows to the event that we are caught up in, rather than seeing its place in a wider picture. As human beings, as we so often learn in life, many disappointments actually turn out to be enormous blessings. You just go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. Let that settle. The one last one that I have is there it is. Is the gift that we arise out to here. So I'd say notice, where do you have any attachment this week? We're clarifying, we're focusing. Is it an event? Is it something that had happened already? Or is it something coming up? Taking mental note of what that is. It could be in the business, could be with the family, could be with the relationship, could be with holiday items, could be relationship, organizations. Could be physical, body. And this is exactly what we'll target in the flow state experience to clear up and release. Because why do we do that? It's because these are all baggage that's holding us down. It's all fog that's disrupting our vision. It's all resistance that holding us back from taking the steps we need to take. So this targeting helps us focus. And our last piece now, I'll go into the gift. So you can go ahead and close your eyes when you're ready. And this one's called detachment. So it says letting go of living and dying. Letting go of living and dying. Okay. So even though we cannot immediately see the outcome of a given situation, we know through the detachment that is connected to a prior situation and is bridging to another situation ahead in the future. With this detached perspective, we can begin to feel rather like our life is a book. And although we are the hero or heroine writing the story as we go along, we are also the reader, fascinated and absorbed, but never lost in the words or details. The detached perspective of the 40-second gift allows us to let go of our expectations very quickly as life continues along its own course in spite of us. It also means that we can see clearly the places in the storyline where we will still wish to exert some control. We realize that if we do not let go quickly, the emotional and mental waters will close over our head and drown us in torrents of our own regret, anxiety, and self-pity. Damn, self-pity. The gift of detachment represents the separating out process between the emotions and the mind, and it takes place naturally as the frequency passing through the gene key arises. With detachment comes both understanding and healing. There's great understanding and freedom that comes to every human being who surrenders deeply enough to their life. We learn to accept our own mortality and the intricate flow of events around us. With detachment, we become truly centered in our own being. And I'd say when we are truly centered, we're free. It's the core of true freedom. It's the inner freedom. The more we accept ourselves the way we are, the more detached we become and the simpler life becomes. So bringing this home here, because I am an American and living in the United States of America, bringing the American twist on this capitalism here of like, we still, we got to make things moving in the business, then would say of this is balancing both worlds. So internally, having the sense of detachment of being like, okay, I'm going to do what's required and I'm going to put my best foot forward. I'm going to do what's required and put my best foot forward. I'm going to do what's required, put my best foot forward. And then really being mindful of checking as many of the boxes as possible with following the natural laws of what people need to hear, the clarity they need to have, the resonance they need to have, the focus they need to have, the space they need to have to be ready to make the next step, following those natural laws, and then having the inner attachment more and more that, hey, there's a bigger picture with your mission, there's a bigger picture with your vision, and you have your passion for a reason, I believe, and you have your purpose for a reason, I believe. So there's unseen forces working together for your path. So am I doing what's required? Am I putting my best foot forward? And then learning from there. Okay. So let's get into the flow state experience. We're going to release anything that fogs the clarity, anything that holds back the actions,